Yo! Video games.
All right, so let's talk about Sony. So Sony had their big, long-awaited press conference showing off the PS Neo, PS4K.
Yeah. So it's
as you know,
official name PS Pro.
It is
PS4 Pro.
As you know, he's
It's Pro, bro.
Yeah, which I thought, well, Pro, why? And then I thought about it. P. It's all about fucking P. Sony's so full of P. PlayStation. PlayStation Portable.
PlayStation Pro.
PlayStation
Vita?
Plus.
That's true. They really have a hard-on for
You
P
got
words.
the Plus Pro. Pro with plus.
So I've got the
See, they went Vita, and what did it do? It fucking flopped.
Yeah, because if they used fucking V, yeah, you're right. If they would have stayed with their like whole P, you know what it is people were expecting a P word, and so they were kind of like, oh, PSV, sounds like some sort of STD. I'm not getting that. No, but it does look nice.
So yeah, we have PlayStation Pro, which is
And it's gonna have
everything that was rumored to be.
yeah, it's got that 1 terabyte hard drive.
Yeah, there was
2 times plus GPU power, and then I think the thing that's most exciting for most people, if they actually give a shit about this, is it's overclocking on its CPU, so it's going to have higher frame rate, a more stable higher frame rate.
That actually bugged me though, because they talk so little about that. They would mention it in like a bullet point listing of things,
Yeah.
but they would never really demonstrate it. There was no comparison video at the conference about like, here's a game on PS4, here's a game on PS Pro.
Oh.
with a more stable frame rate.
Yeah, look, here's the thing about that whole conference. They didn't really talk about anything other than the fact that they had HDR, which is something that's coming to all PlayStations.
Yeah. Well, first they fucking extolled the virtues of HDR, high dynamic range, and how great it was, and in the Pro. And then they said, kind of like after a big demonstration of it, this is coming to all PlayStation 4s in an update.
Yeah, and here's the thing. HDR has been around for fucking ever. Granted, it was a big deal when it came out in cameras, I don't know, fucking 10 years ago. It was a really big deal when your cell phone could get HDR.
Mm-hmm.
It is not really that big of a deal now that, you can get, oh, you're going to have crushed blacks, and there's going to be more detail, kind of like a game designed to have more detail in the blacks. Like, there's not, it's just not that fucking
Well,
exciting.
to me, it was like, oh, lighting effects, even more prettier. It's like prettier lighting effects.
When they showed it,
really fucking pumped. Like, it was really pushed at this conference.
yeah, because when they showed it, it just seemed like it blew out the screen all the time.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, and it's like, oh, but look, you can see in the high whites. Great. If you designed it so that the light wasn't so overblown, I would still be able to see in the high whites, and
Yeah.
it probably look better. But
And from the beginning, the thing that bugged me was they talked about the display. The Pro is for the really enthusiastic gamer, and it's all about display clarity. And I'm like, no, no, fuck your display. Give me a stable frame rate, you cocksucker.
yeah, well, that's what they're talking about. Well, if you play at 1080p, there'll be stable 60 frames a second. But then they're also talking about most of the games that they talked about, and this is unconfirmed for me because this is just something I kind of noticed everybody was pissy about in the chat of the
Yeah.
stream. They were just kind of like, yeah, but all those games are only going to run at 30 frames per second, they've confirmed. And it's like, oh, so who gives a fuck if it's like, oh, it'll have stable
Yeah.
60 frames a second. But all the games we're pimping out.
So
are
it was an
fucking
incredibly short conference, about
40 minutes,
45
yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was just for patches for old games. Like, here's Shadow of Mordor with anti-aliasing. I'm like, why is any time being wasted on this?
Well, here's the thing. They kind of shot themselves in the foot with something they were hoping was going to solve a lot of the whining. And by the way, I say whining, and that sounds shitty, but I mean totally justified whining. But like they're just kind of like, oh, we're not looking to. Mark Cerny said this. We're not looking to like bisect or divide the community. We want to keep it intact.
Yeah.
So no gameplay elements will be affected. You'll still get to play the full game.
And that
it's
was
just that it's going to look
that was in
way
a,
nicer.
that was in a rumor that Sony had a mandate saying you cannot have any exclusive gameplay features in a PS Pro game.
Yeah.
It has to be the same game either way. Just
but-
looks better, maybe runs better.
So I wanna bring up the four things. Well, not really the four things, but like the one thing that it seemed like everybody was universally amped about. There's a USB port on the back, possibly for VR, possibly for storage expansion, also possibly going to be USB 3.0. Now, it's sad to me when that is the thing that people are like, yeah, but it's gonna have a USB port on the back. Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
What does that matter? Is it cool if it's 3.0? If it's 3.0, I think it's definitely for VR. I mean, that's the only reason I can think that they need a
Right.
3.0.
And they said it's going to enhance VR.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, they're talking about it's going to have much clearer details.
I hope so, because I've been kind of underwhelmed with a lot of VR games I've seen. They're just generally kind of blurry and low res.
Well, the Oculus,
But
I mean, there's some
that
cool
could
shit,
also
but yeah.
be because the lenses inside the PlayStation VR may just not be that high res, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. It's like can the game look and run better? Sure, but at the same time, the lenses inside that PSVR may only go to a certain degree.
That
So-
I think they're not really taking into account the fact that nobody's really made a AAA title with only VR in mind yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't think they ever will at least not
Well,
for a while.
I don't think so because it's a peripheral.
Yeah, there's not.
It's still a segmented, fragmented part of the PS fan base.
I think right now there's very little chance that there's going to be, let's say if Resident Evil 7 was only coming out for VR. Like, oh, it's only going to be. There's very little chance of a big name game like that only coming out for VR.
It would be-
so there's very little
it would
chance
be-
of
it
them
would
ever
be
pushing the
suicide,
limits on it.
really.
Yeah, I mean it's just a dead game. But then we have the new controller, which I told you a little bit about earlier.
yeah, I didn't even notice.
They were really fucking amped about this, and this I bring it up because I thought it was really funny. The new controller, mostly the same features as the old controller, but and I'll show you the picture here. You can see the light bars on either side of the trackpad if you look carefully.
Okay, yeah. I actually did not get to see this.
Okay, so there's light bars on either side of the trackpad now.
Okay, I can kind of make out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm seeing it now, yeah.
They light up, so they let you know which player you are. Yay! And then now.
Ooh.
Mark Cerny was actually kind of amped about this next feature. You're now going to have direct connection via USB. So, right now you use USB, you're just charging over USB. You're still a wireless controller.
Gotcha.
There's still that delay. Granted, if you're 3 feet away, the delay's really not that big of a deal, but okay. So he said specifically, he was all like, oh, the fighting game community's gonna love this. Well, yes, maybe they are. Is it cool that he thought of such a niche community? Because I mean, the fighting game community is still considered a niche community.
Yeah, it's not, it's not the biggest, but yeah.
It's not the biggest, but and there's not there's not a ton of flagship games for them, you know?
Right. The funny thing is though is that it's like, oh well, you can actually plug it in as a wired controller now,
Yeah,
which yes, the fighting game community
great.
will love.
Less lag between.
But they already use sticks.
Yeah, anybody that's going to give a shit about that lag is going to be using a stick.
This might be good for Mortal Kombat players. A lot of Mortal Kombat players only use controller.
Fair, because wasn't Mortal Kombat designed with controller in mind more than stick in mind?
I kind of feel that way because of the block button.
Okay.
Because it's like left arm, left leg, right leg, or limb based, and then you use L2, R2, maybe both to block. It's good for Mortal Kombat, I guess.
Okay, and
But
that's
not
fair.
like you can't use an arcade stick for Mario, and not like it hasn't. It hasn't been that huge of an issue right now as it is already with the PS4 controller as it is right now.
Yeah, and I don't know how many
Lots
tournament
of people
players
have been fine with it.
use controllers. I honestly don't know that. I mean, there's
It's
probably
not
a
well.
decent amount.
If outside of Mortal Kombat, it's not many. Very, very few. Outside
Yeah,
of MK.
I mean, at Evo, I kind of paid attention a little bit. Everybody had a stick. Like, everybody was walking around carrying a stick, unless they were playing Smash.
yeah.
But I even remember a guy talking about how he wished he could play Smash with a stick. And I don't know why, because it seems like that whole game is designed more around, the controller.
I could
but-
understand Smash being really good with a hitbox, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
I mean,
I don't know. That's just pure guesswork there. But
but the last thing that pissed everybody off, it doesn't support 4K Blu-ray.
that
Doesn't have a
surprised the
Blu-ray player.
fuck out of me. So the whole big point, like I said, when they talk like display, it can show you the entire coast of Ireland, not just the edge of the Cape. And here we are. It doesn't play 4K Blu-ray movies.
Yeah, so
I'm like, huh?
this is weird to me because it seems like such a slap in the face like obvious fucking thing. Like, why the fuck wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like, if that's what you're pushing,
No
why don't you-
4K Blu-ray, no Ultra HD drive in there. They're basically using the same old Blu-ray drive.
Yeah, and granted, I guess a 4K Ultra HD drive is probably pretty expensive still, and they want to keep this at the
Well,
price
apparently
point.
it saves them about $15 a console, as I was reading.
Oh, and their price point's staying the same. They're dropping the regular PS4, the PS4 Slim, to like $299, but the PS4 Pro is going to be $399.
Same
So-
price as the PS4 when
now.
it came out.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, maybe that's the reason they didn't want to put it in there, but it just seems like a bonehead move not to.
It's just weird to me. To me, it's just kind of like it's just one of those head scratchers. Because okay, if your game in PS4 does 4K, has 4K textures and shit, are we going to see the return of multi-disc Blu-rays?
Yeah, which
Because
part of me
I
wants
honestly
to see
feel
it.
like we will. This sounds like something that's gonna beef up. Because look at it this way, fucking Xenoblade X on the Wii U, which is Blu-ray. It was a dual layer Blu-ray. It was like, I think the final spec tally was like it's like 49 of the 50 gigs, right? And that's a game that's not 1080p. That is 720p.
Well, here's my thing. I'm kind of okay with multiple discs coming back. Only
I don't think
because-
it doesn't really bother me one way or the other. It's just kind of like it's just funny that it's like, okay, we're gonna have to multi-disc our games now because, well, fuck, we didn't want to.
Because fuck you, yeah.
Because we didn't want to put a fucking 4K drive in there.
But you remember the satisfaction of beating that first disc and moving on to the second disc and being like, yeah, you're at the halfway point.
Sure,
I
it wasn't the
remember that.
halfway point.
It
all the
wasn't
time.
ever
Usually,
It
most
usually
of the
was like
game,
the last third.
Yeah, usually most of the game was on the first disc and then like a little chunk on the second.
But anyway, this led to Xbox getting a little bit of like a fucking nurple in there. They got to just nudge in a
yeah,
little-
I did see that some
fuck
on
you.
Twitter.
Yeah, so they tweeted like at the right when it ended, they tweeted this image, Xbox One S, 4K streaming and Blu-ray, check. HDR gaming, check. Greatest games, check. 40% smaller, check. Starting at $299. Like, okay, I mean, granted, it's not doing anything particularly amazing, but it's really funny that they hit their main.
Let's go down that. It has, what did it say? It has 4K gaming and
4K streaming and Blu-ray.
Okay, so that's an actual, honest to God, plus.
Yep.
Even though it's just a regular X-Bone. It's an X-Bones.
Yeah, it's an Xbox.
What's the next point? HDR gaming.
HDR gaming.
Again, nothing really that fantastic since even the old PS4s are getting that.
No, it just proves my point of earlier of it not being that big of a deal.
Right.
They're just making a big deal.
What's the third point?
Well, greatest games, which stretch, just a stretch. I get
A
it.
little fucking bit.
40% smaller.
Then okay, now there, 40% smaller than what? The old X-Bone, not the PS4 or the PS4 Slim.
I don't know.
That's
that
the
for
fu-
sure.
Oh no, I know that. I do know that for sure because
okay.
I've seen the fucking X-Bones.
I've seen it, but I've never put it
I've
side
seen
by side.
and I've seen side by side pics of the PS4 Slim. The X-Bones is not 40% smaller than a PS4 or a PS4 Slim. It's 40% smaller than an old X-Bone, which is the size of a 1985 VCR.
And it's probably 40% smaller than the new stack of pancakes Pro. Like the
Yeah. Oh
fucking-
yeah, that's the other thing about the Pro. The Pro, it's funny
Massive.
when they showed it. It's like, okay, so they have the redesign of the PS4 Slim, which I always love how Sony comes out with a glossy system and then they make like a matte graphite.
And I always like
Look.
Matt more, but
So they basically went. It was really like sharp edges and glossy, and now it's rounded and kind of like
Mm.
graphite. So you got that now, and then
Yeah.
you have basically this triple quarter pounder for the PS Pro. The PS Pro is really, you take the Slim and then you add a triple layer to it.
yeah, that thing is it looks
It's a Big
massive.
Mac, you know.
Yeah.
It's like this Big Mac version of the new PS4 model.
Yeah, I've got a picture of it right here. I mean, it literally is just. It looks like it's just 40% bigger than PS4 Slim.
Yeah, they added that little fucking like extra mid bun and a new meat patty.
Yeah, because they wanted to put on that new that extra GPU, son.
Is it because of the terabyte hard drive? Or I'm like,
It's
why
gotta
is
be
it
the
just-
GPUs.
what is it so fat for?
GPUs and the fans that have to fucking
Probably
keep
the
them
fans. Oh, I've heard it's gonna be what 380 watt. Like it's
cold. Yeah,
actually
it's gonna be a beast.
it's gonna actually be a pretty good power consumer. Just from one blurb I read was that like it's actually going to suck up some juice.
There's I didn't have time to grab it before we started, but there's a really great image of the PS4 Pro Elite and then the PS4 Super Hardcore Pro, blah blah blah, and it's just like stacks on stacks on stacks, and the last one's like $1,100, and like,
So it's gone meme, full meme.
yeah, it's gone full meme. It's amazing.
So here's the ultimate question though: are you amped? Are you going to buy a PS4 Pro at this point?
It's funny that you mention this because I'm probably not. No, I just bought a PS4.
And you know, I've always felt like it's kind of slimy, and I've always like not really liked the idea of having just an upgraded system.
You mean a mid-cycle refresh?
Mid-cycle?
as,
Yeah.
Mark Cerny
I love
calls
how they start the conference with, you know, the PS4 has been our fastest selling console ever, already at 40 million units. We need a refresh.
Yeah, fuck.
This
But it's funny that you mentioned that because there's a GAF poll that like right after the conference. Would you call it a conference? Not really a conference.
yeah, it's
like
a conference.
presentation.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
So of respondents, 42% own a PS4 and are sticking with the old PS4. 29% will be upgrading to PS4 Pro from the old one, and only 5% were new gamers that will be buying a PS4 Pro, and 0% give a shit about the Slim. Nobody fucking cares about the Slim. Like, and as a matter of fact, the top comment in there was literally, "Why the fuck would they even release a Slim? Just leave the old fucking PS4."
Right.
And then buy the fucking.
Well,
PS4
here's the
Pro.
funny fucking thing about that, because the Slim comes out like the end of this week, and then 2 months later, PS Pro.
Yeah.
Why would you buy a Slim? Like, let's say if you're one of those, you know, people who haven't jumped in yet, and it's like, oh well, let me save $100 and get the lesser model.
Yeah, my mind kind of jumps to
maybe if that $100 is really important to you, I can understand it a little bit.
why continue making the PS4 old at all? Just start making the PS4 Pro. Period.
There's a lot of there's
I mean, it
yeah
doesn't
you
make
can
sense.
look at it that way, like why make a Slim? Why even bother making any? You know what?
Yeah,
I don't know. I just feel it's kind of sleazy that it's like, well, you know, we released this big fancy new console just 3 years ago, and you know something? Fuck it. Let's make a better version of that. So you early adopters, you kind of got jacked. Because here's the thing: this is a $400 refresh, a month after a $400 peripheral for the VR.
yeah, it's
Like, Sony's asking people to drop some serious fucking cash this holiday season.
And when we say people, America is what they really mean, because
Yeah.
America is going to be their largest market for this.
Of course.
But here's
PS4 is actually a dud in Japan. I don't know if you know this.
yeah, I know it's apparently like done shit all. Like it's,
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing that they keep pushing with this is the HDR and 4K graphics. So every time they brought out like a game, they would bring out the developers of the game and like interview them.
Developers.
Yeah, and I'm for the life of me, I'm blanking on this guy. This guy trying to be so enthusiastic. He was bald guy with a beard. You know, and he was doing a great job being enthusiastic. He was awkwardly enthusiastic because he was trying to keep everyone amped up. And like they would keep cutting back to him because obviously the developers had no real like enthusiasm for this. I think except for Watch Dogs 2 developer.
Oh, yeah.
But so Days Gone guy is out there, and so like this guy jumps into it, he's like, "Hey man, what was the best thing about developing for the Pro?" And the guy's like, well, we could update the detail." The guy would like, "Yeah, the detail's a really good one, yeah." And that HDR, and the guy would like lean and be like, yeah, that HDR. Yeah, oh yeah, boss, that's that HDR. It was like that silly cartoon of like the dumb guy just trying to catch up with the smart guy. And it's like they kept pushing the HDR over and over and over again. And like every time they were like, "Oh, check this out from Mass Effect or from blah blah blah," and the game would look really nice.
Yeah.
But it's like, keep in mind, this isn't 4K graphics because you can't watch 4K graphics at home. You have to be here, seeing it like us. And it's like, well, then why the fuck are you showing this to me?
Yeah.
You're just showing me a pretty game. And granted, the games were pretty. Days Gone doesn't look that insanely good to me. I mean, it looks good, but it just looks brighter.
You know,
than the
yeah,
older
it's
versions.
also just another fucking zombie game.
It's another fucking zombie game. Mass Effect Andromeda looks really fucking cool to me right now.
It's very glowy.
It is very glowy, yeah. And Horizon looks better than the last trailer I saw, but there were like FPS drops, and there were
Juggy jug, jug-a-lug.
yeah, and like it was an obviously scripted moment. But like the thing that you see the most is like an upgrade in the hair.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if they're not moving, the hair's still blowing and
that's
shit,
like
but it
the-
doesn't look chunky anymore.
yeah,
It looks
that's
like
like
flowy.
the Tomb Raider thing when like the first Tomb Raider, the reboot,
Yeah,
the PC version had this special FX hair or whatever.
that would fly
Tesla
everywhere.
effects, yeah. So it's kind of like the same thing where it's like, what's different about this? Well, her hair is kind of more natural.
Yeah, natural if it's
guess.
constantly in a wind tunnel.
Here's the funny thing, because I just thought about this right now. Remember how we've noticed from the demo and then the E3 this year, remember how chunky Final Fantasy 15's been running?
Yes.
And how that was part of their real PS4K. Fuck, it's not 4K. Pro. PS4 Pro. PlayStation.
PS4K is a way better name.
Yeah, I know. I know. But it doesn't have the P.
It doesn't. No.
You got it. Sony's full of piss. I mean P. Sony's full of P. You got to have P in there. If you're still kind of really looking forward to Final Fantasy 15, now granted it did get delayed till past the PS Pro's launch.
Yeah.
I almost feel like that game might be the most beneficial
Well,
for the Pro because it was chunking
they had a big thing
on
today
PS4.
too, didn't they?
On
Square Enix had a thing where they played a bunch of gameplay of it.
I don't know because I only saw the conference. I know Deus Ex: Mankind Divided is another one of their games, and Tomb Raider.
And Tomb Raider.
So
yeah.
Tomb Raider was
oh,
a
I
big
saw
one.
some Tomb Raider stuff.
So I
yeah.
guess you could say that, but it just to me it feels like the only game that's striking out to me right now, like God, this fucking needs PS Pro, is Final Fantasy 15.
I didn't watch the thing on it today. There were a couple people that were kind of.
Well, there was like 10 seconds or less of footage of Final Fantasy 15 on the PS Pro, but I'm just saying that that's a game that already doesn't run well enough on PS4 where it's like, if you're still going to buy that game on November 30th or whatever,
Well, apparently neither
hopefully-
is Horizon. Like apparently Horizon's not running well on PS4.
well, I mean, the game does look pretty gorgeous, so I can imagine why.
It does look gorgeous, and the update to the looks, it is noticeable.
Yeah.
Like the update. The other games that they showed, the update wasn't noticeable. Granted, again, I was watching it in 1080p because I am not worthy of 4K.
We're not worthy. Yeah, like For Honor was just like, yeah, it's more For Honored.
Yeah, and For Honor looks cool. It still looks cool,
Yeah.
but I don't think graphics were ever a thing that made me think that was a cool game. You know, I mean, it looked great, but
It was
it's
more
like,
the idea of it.
yeah, the idea is what made me fucking like, oh yeah, cool. You know, what is, I don't know who said this, but someone kind of geniusly said like graphics don't actually get people to play your game. It's, you know, if your game looks good,
Aesthetics do.
yeah, aesthetics will make it
Aesthetics meaning like art style and shit like
like, yeah,
that.
or like, but graphics.
How well
aren't
it all comes together.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you one thing, like, look at that game like fucking Dreams. I don't want to ever fucking play Dreams.
I'm blanking on Dreams right now.
It
I
was,
recognize the name because I know we.
it was that weird Media Molecule game
Yes,
from the,
yes.
their
Fucking
Euro
nightmares.
conference.
Yeah, we.
That fucking nightmare purple, like,
The giant fucking. Wasn't that Dreams?
yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, I don't want to play fucking Dreams. Like the graphics, oh my god, the graphics are so imaginative, creative, so much going on. I'm like, and it looks terrifying. I don't want to play that.
You'll
God,
be able to
no.
use the trackpad. Who the fuck uses the trackpad for anything? Like the trackpad seems like the most useless fucking thing on a controller in a long time.
I think it was like a throwaway thing thrown on there in case like they needed something to one up like Nintendo's Wii U. Because if the Wii U was super successful like the Wii, I think Sony wanted to just have like a little touchscreen interface on there just in case.
But it's like it's too small to be used for anything of value.
Yeah.
Like who the fuck cares about it? Like I mean, it annoys me when I have
It's
to
just
use
like the 6-axis. Remember how the PS3 had the 6-axis?
Yeah.
It's the same fucking thing. It's this fucking throwaway thing just in case Nintendo gets too successful again.
You're gonna have like a micro USB attached, just giant fucking touchpad. It's a fucking tablet that sits under your. That'd be amazing. But yeah, so are you gonna upgrade to PS4 Pro? By the way,
No.
like you asked me, but
I don't think I will because so little of what they were talking about seemed to be the most important thing, which is a stable frame rate. I want the game to function better. I don't care if it looks better. I don't care if it adds anti-aliasing to orcs' fucking like dicks and noses and stuff. I just want the game to run better. Because here's the fucking thing.
well, they are saying
If
at
they're
1080p
going
it
all
will.
the way back to fucking Shadow of Mordor, granted that's WB's call, and they do have to patch it, of course. Where the fuck is my Bloodborne patch? I want a stable frame rate fucking Bloodborne patch.
That would be good.
That's what I fucking want. I don't want, like, you know, HDR lighting in a zombie game. Who the fuck cares?
You know what I want? I would like them to make a Souls game fucking 60 frames a second. It seems
like
that's,
PC?
Yeah, it seems like that's the game that needs it.
If
so-
fucking Bloodborne was going to get boosted to a solid 60 frames per second on PS4 Pro, I'd be like, that's something worth considering. But as of right now, it's like, no.
Well, at 1080p, they're all like, oh, it'll play way more stable. So games.
It has to get to a point where, like, so many games are just playing so much better on the PS4 Pro that before I am willing to drop on it. I mean,
Well, let's put
I
it
would
this
say
way.
I'm more likely to buy a PS4 Pro before I bought a PSVR.
Here's kind of like if your PS4 died tomorrow, would you go out and get a Slim or would you buy the PS4 Pro?
Oh, if it died, I'd buy a Pro.
Okay, yeah, then that's the only time that I would buy a Pro. If my PS4 died
There's
tomorrow
no
and I was just
okay.
gonna-
The thing is,
there's no reason to buy a Slim.
yeah, there's no reason to buy a regular PS4 in 2 months. None, zero.
I'm
Unless you're somehow, because thing is the way I look at it this way: if you're hard up for cash that you can't afford a Pro, you shouldn't be buying a Slim. Because
Yeah,
$300,
that's
$400, that's still a lot of money either way.
Yeah, I don't really the price point of them kind of also doesn't make sense. Like it makes sense why they're making it $400 because they don't want to go higher than that, especially
Yeah.
with the peripheral that's coming out and all
Exactly.
that shit.
So it's 400. Yeah, 400. Look, if you don't have a PS4 now and you want to jump in to the full PlayStation experience, including VR, and you wait for the Pro, because why wouldn't you? That's an $800 buy-in.
Yeah.
With no games.
And for
Maybe they'll come
$800
with a
you can build a decent gaming rig.
Yeah, for $800 you could
Yeah.
definitely build you could build a monster gaming rig if you really wanted to.
Yeah,
for
if you're smart about it. I overall there's nothing about the Pro that really like amps me up. What it does amp me up for, oddly enough, is it amps me up for the Scorpio. Because if the PS4 did this,
That does leave the door open now for Microsoft to kind of swoop in and go, we're gonna fucking knock it out of the park. Because the thing
Yeah.
is, with an extra year, they can make it much beefier and still come out at 400. Because they're gonna have a year on the market for technology to catch up and go down in price.
that's
So,
true. Huh? Yeah, they're not.
Or
gonna,
they can also beef it further. They can go 450 and just push it even a little bit more.
yeah, I think that's what's going to amp me. Granted, I want them to release information about it soon.
Scorpio?
Yeah, like I want them to release information about it. Soon.
I don't think they will, because now I think they're going to go back into assessment mode. They're going to sit there and debate amongst themselves internally at Microsoft very heavily.
Well, I know
how far they want to push Scorpio now.
Elise wants an Xbox One. There's
Just wait till Scorpio comes out.
well, that's what I'm thinking. But if it's not going to be a boost, if it's not going to be a major difference, I'll just get the fucking Slim.
Well, the thing is, we know it's going to be. We know at least it's going to be a major difference from at least the Xbone.
yeah,
And I can guarantee you, it might definitely. I'm almost sure it's going to go even beefier than what they've announced for the Scorpio next year, because they're going to see what Sony's doing and be like, we're going to one up this hard, and we're going because they want to gain that ground back. They got spanked so fucking hard by Sony with the launch of the PS4
it's
versus
almost like
Xbone.
they paid them to spank them.
They did pay him to spank him in a way. It's like this is actually a one, slim chance to kind of really make a comeback, gain some real ground on them.
Well, here's the question that I have. If it's the same price point, if it is going to be $400, okay, fine. If it's not, is it going to be more worth it for me to buy the Slim, like the Xbox One S, the Xbones? Because the games that I want to play, the games that have me amped about Xbox One at all, just aren't powerhouse games.
Right,
Like,
okay.
I mean, Sea of Thieves might be a powerhouse. It might have something that requires, beefier technology, maybe, because it's going to be a big open world, right? But for the most part, it was running beautifully on the old system. So, okay. We Happy Few, maybe there's something about it that'll be beefed up.
Right, I get what you're saying. 'cause,
Cuphead.
Honest to God, like a lot of the best Xbone games
Aren't
aren't powerhouse titles. Like KI, it's not a Powerhouse title, graphically speaking. It looks good, but not Powerhouse.
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves and We Happy Few are both kind of like cell shaded, kind of like they look good. They have artistic there.
But
the water's great, but they're not blowing your
Yeah,
fucking
by no
brain.
means are they fucking.
They're
like,
not blowing
it
your
out of-
brains. Like they're not pushing the hardware like a Forza game does.
Yeah, and for the older games,
and of course, like you said, Cuphead and Ori and the Blind Forest are fucking 2D games.
yeah, or Bloodstained even, or Bloodstained's coming out on PS4 too, right?
It's going on everything.
Yeah, okay.
Even the fucking Vita.
But still, I mean, but Bloodstained, say if that was a reason I was getting it, Bloodstained isn't a Powerhouse game, beautiful game,
Yeah.
but it isn't a Powerhouse game. So it's like, do I care enough? Do I care enough? You know,
That's
it's
a really good point. Because the thing is, I think the Scorpio may be a system now that will have exclusive games for it. They may go that route. They may go to a point where they're like, the game is we want to push the game so hard, or the Scorpio so hard that we're going to make it that it's so much more powerful that you do have games that are. Phil Spencer did say that he is not going to have that. It's not going to be a new system. It's not.
yeah.
Gonna,
I don't think they can do that because
well,
once you start having exclusive games to it, it's a new console. It's a new generation.
Well, look at this. There is the new 3DS, the new Nintendo 3DS, and then there's the 3DS XL 3DS, and there's a grand total of
But everybody's annoyed about
one retail game that only works on new 3DS. I think maybe two now, and there's one game so Xenoblade 1, it only works on new Nintendo 3DS, and then there's Hyrule Warriors, which is vastly superior on new Nintendo 3DS. And then I think there's a couple eShop games like Binding of Isaac or something like that that only play on new Nintendo 3DS. So you're talking like maybe a grand total of 4 games that are either significantly better or only exclusive, and every other 3DS game ever released since new Nintendo 3DS plays on both just the same or just fine.
Yeah.
It loads faster on new Nintendo 3DS.
But everybody was. You remember?
So
how
nobody
everybody
looks
was
at
annoyed
new.
about that?
Not really, because it's one fucking. It was like when it was announced and launched, it was one fucking game.
Yeah, but
me.
like it was still like imagine if there were a ton of games though. You know, if
If there were a
Xbox-
ton of games, I think people would be pissed with the new Nintendo 3DS. But people have kind of just sort of ignored, not ignored, but just kind of like it didn't really blow much stuff up. I mean, I was raising a fucking shit fit about the fact that they were taking away the power charger out of the box,
Yeah, well, I mean that's fucking annoying too.
which to this day I still feel is a really fucking sleazy thing for Nintendo to do.
to jump back to the Xbox Scorpio, the way I will be okay with that is if they stop making another version of the Xbox. If when the Xbox Scorpio comes out, they're like, this is the new Xbox. We're not making the other version. This is the Xbox One. You
Or
know,
Xbox Scorpio.
yeah, they boom done. Then it's like, okay, fine.
It's a new system.
It's a new
You
system.
think
Treat it like a new system.
Microsoft could just go full bore and say this is the new system.
That's true too. And
I mean, it'll be 4 years, which is the same amount of time between the original Xbox and Xbox 360. It was only 4 years, not the traditional
Wow.
5. They could do that, or they could just make a beefier upgrade than the PS4 to PS Pro.
yeah, and part of me is kind of like, if they start a generation, would that be smart or would that be bad? Because if they start a new generation and they kill it, it could be really good, because then when Sony's behind the ball now, Sony makes a new generation, but they would have to really blow the PS Pro out of the water.
I don't think they have enough time.
To blow PS Pro out of the water?
I don't think they have enough time to make it a new generation, like in the next gen. They don't have time because the thing is, most people are assuming that the Scorpio is just going to be a beefy X-Bones.
Yeah, that's
Right?
fair.
So
And they don't want to do generations
So
anymore.
right now, so if you do a next generation thing, then suddenly you've got a system now where people have not had enough time to program games specifically for Scorpio, because it's a new, like if it were a new system where everyone's still developing titles with the assumption that it'll work on PS4, PS Pro, Xbone, Scorpio.
That's fair.
And if you turn
yeah.
Scorpio into a whole new next generation, too many people are going to be caught off guard, and there's not enough time to develop Scorpio exclusive games, at least for the launch.
Well, I don't think it'd be smart for them to try and do a new generation or whatever.
But I do think they can definitely make it more powerful than the Pro.
yeah, well, I think they're gonna have to. Like it's their one chance. If they
Especially
throw
with
this
the-
chance away, they're done.
Especially with the fact that the PS Pro is launching in 2 months. That does and Scorpio's like a year away. Yeah, the Scorpio definitely needs to be pretty significantly better.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're planning to upgrade to the Scorpio, are you gonna want to wait that long, a year? That's the other thing I'm kind of worried about. Is like, are all these people are gonna be like, oh, it's so fucking awesome, buy the PS4 Pro, and then when the Scorpio comes out, they'll be like, wow, that is really awesome, but I've already spent so much goddamn money on my fucking Pro and my VR.
Exactly.
And my,
This is why I think they're doing those tweets with the X Bones.
to remind people.
Yeah, and to say, and they're actually, it's kind of,
it's working.
Look, it's kind of nice that they're giving the X Bones a year on the market before one-upping it, because it's in, right now it feels like Sony's like, here's the PS4 Slim, we're gonna clip you in 2 months. Like, this is the argument your parents always used on you as a kid. Like, I'm not buying you a new video game system because the minute I buy you a new one, they'll announce a new, better system next month.
Yeah,
I don't know if you ever heard that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened when we asked for the Genesis.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm not buying you this because there's going to be a new system tomorrow that's even better than this, and you hate the old one now, blah, blah, blah. So Sony's literally creating parents' worst nightmare.
They already are parents'
with
worst
the
nightmare.
Slim, not necessarily with the Pro, because everyone kind of knew and wanted the Pro, but definitely the Slim. Like, here's the new Slim model. It's gonna be outdated in 2 months.
So last thoughts on just the I mean, we've kind of already hit last thoughts, but like as a roundup, last thoughts. Nothing about the Pro right now is overly impressive.
No.
Does it look good? Yes, it looks great. PC Master Race will be the first ones to tell you that it's nothing like a PC. They say that every time a generation comes out,
Yeah.
so whatever, fuck them. But if you have a 4K TV and you really care about it, I think it's worth doing.
I think that's
fine.
the one thing we didn't really push on, and that is so much of this just feels like
A marketing push for 4K TV. Yeah.
And you were saying in the interviews later, they're like, we've seen a high adoption rate of 4K TVs, and I'm like, really?
Yeah, anecdotally, I haven't seen I've seen, like, my Best Buy had one. It got its first 4K TV to sell, like, a fucking month ago.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I've not seen a lot of 4K TVs. I've not seen people talking about 4K. You know what I see? More and more people watching fucking Netflix on, like, their tablets.
Yes.
You know, or their regular ass HD TVs. Like, no one, and they're watching streaming, which usually can dip in quality to, like, SD levels. Sometimes if your connection
Yeah,
is
if
bad,
you don't
it's like,
have a great connection.
people are not obsessive about
Resolution.
resolution, and especially like things like 3D. Remember how that kind of like went and died real quick at home? Like
Yeah, thank
3D at
God.
home? Yeah, to me it's like
People
this,
want convenience.
it almost feels a little, because it was so disappointing on the gaming aspect, it almost kind of feels like, was this Sony's way of trying to push their way back into the TV market?
Yeah.
Maybe.
It really feels that way. I mean, they tried to reference the TV behind them all the time. They'd be like, this beautiful 4K TV, which it was a massive fucking TV. I think this thing was like 60 or 70 inch TV, but they were like, this beautiful 4K TV.
Yeah.
And I was be like,
Well, the thing is, okay, when I game, like either at Max's or at my own house, I'm not that far away from the TV.
no,
that
32 inches is like the most I like to game on.
Right. And 4K at 32 inches means fucking nothing.
No, you're not going to see a significant difference. I mean,
4K is amazing if you have a big home theater display.
yeah, but if you play any multiplayer games, fucking over 32, you're going to get lag time. Like, you're going to have
Sure.
that problem.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's like,
My point is that my point is this with all the PS Pro. I almost called it a 4K again.
it's a better name.
PS Pro is that I don't have a 4K monitor. I don't work that far away when sitting next to my monitor to really take advantage of needing a 4K monitor. All I really wanted was more stable gameplay and frame rate. I just wanted better running games, and they touched on that very little. So a brand new $400 upgrade to me right now is very underwhelming.
I bet you they're going to, in the firmware that's going to come out for the HDR, I bet they're going to put overclocking anyway to stabilize frame rate. It'll mean that your system's going to get hotter, but
Great.
I bet it's going to be there.
Put a swamp cooler over it, like right over it. Just